In 1973, at a medical boarding school in Maine, two roommates, Richard Rogers and Frederick Spencer, frequently disagreed and disapproved of each other's habits. As tensions escalated, Rogers acted out and bludgeoned Spencer 8 times in the head with a hammer before asphyxiating him with a plastic bag. He was later charged with murder, but pleaded not guilty, representing himself in court and explaining how Spencer made unwanted sexual advances toward himself and acted in self-defense. He was shortly acquitted and found not guilty by the jury. Richard gradually became a neurosurgeon in the following years, but it wasn't until 1992 where he would kill again. In New Jersey, Richard Rogers would frequent gay bars looking to single out his victims, known for waiting until closing time. He lured Peter Anderson back to his place before dismembering him and placing his remains in multiple trash bags. A year later, Rogers used the same modus operandi on another victim in a whole different location. Without careful evidence preservation and the newly adopted superglue fuming technique, Richard Rogers went undetected for a significant amount of time. So, what does the evidence show? Rogers would dispose of his victims by leaving multiple trash bags scattered around highways, forests, and dumpsters. Investigators and technicians employed great practice by securing and preserving the evidence collected at the crime scenes. Most notably, the trash bags containing the limbs of the victims were collected and preserved until more modern methods were used. One of such methods was cyanoacrylate fuming. Because the perpetrator disposed of the corpses in these bags, there was a high probability that fingerprints were deposited on them. The cyanoacrylate fuming technique was used in an attempt to visualize any latent prints left. Astoundingly, the polymerization process was so effective that the trash bags displayed nearly 28 fingerprints and 3 palm prints from all 8 trash bags recovered. So how does this technique work? Cyanoacrylate, or superglue fuming, is a technique that was first developed in the late 1970s by the Japanese. It was observed that heating up superglue reacts well with latent fingerprints, essentially polymerizing or plasticizing onto the oil and water residues. Typically, after superglue fuming a print, it is common practice to use dyes such as rhodamine 6G or Ardrox to visually enhance the print's minutiae detail for photography. It wasn't until 1980 where cyanoacrylate fuming became a standard on-scene process by preserving and processing the evidence in an undisturbed state. The real catch for cyanoacrylate fuming is that it preserves the prints and increases their durability and stability, significantly decreasing the chance for damaging the integrity of the evidence. The way it works is by first isolating the item in question. If done unseen, a makeshift cube can be constructed out of PVC pipes with a plastic bag over it. Liquid superglue is then placed in a foil cup within the isolation area, where heat and humidity can enhance the chemical reaction, effectively producing fumes that adhere to and polymerize to the latent print on the item. If done post-scene in the laboratory, the process is similar, except that it uses a cyanoacrylate fuming chamber that typically can hold larger items, such as firearms or articles of clothing. Chemically, cyanoacrylates are monomers derived from ethyl and ester groups. They are colorless, and they polymerize, or plasticize, rapidly in the anionic conditions of weak bases such as water or alcohol. Ethyl cyanoacrylate, which is the most common commercially available superglue used, specifically binds to hydroxide ions in water that produces durable chains that connect to bonded surfaces. Since fingerprints are roughly composed of 99% water, ethyl cyanoacrylate has a great affinity for polymerization. Effectively, Richard Rogers was caught in 2001 due to an accumulation of evidence including precise surgical cuts narrowing the search to medical personnel, and circumstantial evidence in his apartment including date-rape drugs and Polaroids of shirtless men with stab wounds. However, most condemning was the cyanoacrylate fuming, which was used to obtain over 50 unique fingerprints and palm prints that were later added into the Automated Fingerprint Identification System, or AFIS, which matched to Rogers. This newly developed technique paved the road for preserving fingerprints that would ordinarily be destroyed or missed completely by investigators. If you liked the video, consider subscribing to the channel for more forensic-related content.